Hello.
Welcome to Create.
Thanks for having me.
It's so good to see you.
Good to see you.
What are you up to today?
You caught me kind of on an off day. Woke up really late for me personally. I stayed up till 5 a.m. last night, being obsessive over whether or not I wanted to start uh, trolling this woman who made a documentary that I don't agree with. Um,
Mm.
Decided not to. And I was also looking up vanity chairs because I want to set up a desk in my room. So I was just on every website trying to find the most affordable one, guessing like,
Are
what it would
you
be.
are you still working or are you quarantined like everybody else and you don't know what to do with your life?
I'm quarantined like everyone else. I do get to work from home,
I see.
and um, yeah, I mean, I know what to do with my life. So I guess I'm not like most people who don't, you know?
That's wonderful. Yeah, totally, of course. And you're also an amazing artist. And that's why you are here on the show today. And actually, I'm going to let everybody know who hasn't had the chance to see or hear your amazing stuff, to give them a little bit of an insight of what it is that you do creatively.
Cool. Well, creatively, I write songs, I produce live shows, and I produce videos for those songs. It's just, I'm a pretty conceptual guy, so a lot of the music that I do is all connected to one story or theme. And it just takes a lot of work to put those concepts together and launch it. So it keeps me busy. I like throwing events and try to be try to give back to a community, or sort of like make a space that I feel comfortable in personally for others to join. So I like hosting a bunch of stuff, uh, and that's it.
You sound really humble and sort of like you give yourself a little bit like you sound very like under the radar. But I've seen you perform and you're a solo artist, correct? Is that safe to say that you are a solo artist when you sing and perform and sing your own lyrics?
Yeah,
You're
it's
really a
it's.
one man show.
I am a one man
Yeah.
show. It's not for lack of trying to not be. It's just because that seems to be the most efficient and the easiest way to get things done.
Mm.
But thanks for thinking that I sound humble. I think it's a humbling process. I have been on the other side in terms of just been a judgmental person, looking at other people's work and being a huge cynic, and figuring out ways that I could do that better, or in my mind just critiquing the whole process. Um, but I think when you're in a flow and when you're creating, you get to just appreciate other people who are willing to put themselves out there. And hopefully, what gets ignited is a sense of community and an understanding for the need of support, support for yourself, or support for others. So there's no magic to it. There's just a willingness to follow through with something. And
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 sorry,
yeah, no, and
I,
so that's it.
I feel like you have this very unique kind of niche that only you sound like I can't really put you in pop or anything at all, or punk per se. It's just like you have this I'm gonna dare to say autobiographical way of talking about your life in this really sort of like stunningly beautiful storytelling.
Well, thanks for saying it's stunningly beautiful. I agree with you in the sense that I don't really know how to categorize myself, which, if you want to look at there's a certain element to being an artist, and depending on which category of success you'd focus on, that's not necessarily the best thing uh, for popularity or for playlists and for that stuff, but it is the most sustainable and fulfilling and joyful thing for me personally. Everything is autobiographical. I have a lot of life experience. I just consume, and I am like the bottom feeder of a fish tank when it comes to news and relationships and emotions. and I just spit it back out in ways that I think are interesting to try and have people consider and identify with, um, with things that I live through. If I talk about a human experience, even if it is in an imaginative or in an abstract way, if I'm true about that experience, then it should resonate with other humans, and that's really who I'm singing for, Um, so yeah.
I love that you say that because I feel like a lot of um, creatives sometimes try to, I guess, fall into some sort of like a niche where they feel like they found their audience. But I do appreciate that you saying that, and I do believe that it's really important that you just start honing in on that voice that makes you you, and then it'll be undeniably beautiful because it's just so unique, like you.
No,
You're
thanks.
you're beautiful inside, outside. You're an incredible artist. I mean, every time I see you, it's just so inspirational, and everybody just like you just blow everybody's mind.
Uh,
And like you should be on every stage in the world. I'm just not sure why it's not happening yet.
yeah, I hope to be. That's the thing. I really, I feel right sized in the world on stage. I feel like that's where I should be. That's where I'm meant to be. That's where I'm not too much and I don't feel so small. I do think in regards to finding niche and audience, like I'd love to, there's the sustainability element to creating and being an artist is the thing that's key in my opinion, because I'm really my last project that focused on domestic abuse and violence, and um, that focused actually on surviving domestic abuse and violence, that was something that on a visceral level just needed to be out in the world. And so I didn't wait as long as I could have waited for certain platforms or for certain launches to, because I just wanted it. I just imagine kids in need, or people in need, stumbling across it and it resonating to them. And there was so much music as a kid that I stumbled across that resonated with me, that I fell asleep to, that I kept close with me. Um, so that project was more of a tool to help others and really designed to fall asleep to and to be intimate with. So it wasn't necessarily going to be a club banger. But what I think everyone should explore is, similar to a Bowie approach, where there are so many different genres, and there's a writing style that we have and there's a unique experience, but I'm really excited to be alive long enough to explore different genres that I love, and create a blues record and create a dance record and create a pop record and to create all these different types of records, still maintaining my voice. Um, and I think that sometimes what I have to remember is that everything, not what I do doesn't have to be everything. Like what this record or this song doesn't have to be suddenly an acoustic song because I'm listening to all of these wonderful acoustic artists and that's my style right now. Like there will be if I'm consistent in my work, there will be a time where I'm well represented in all of my likes and inspirations, and staying focused and just finishing something and releasing it or abandoning it um, out into the world is the thing that I see other friends kind of maybe not practice, and something that I try and be mindful of and to practice myself,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like even if you would put out all these different genres of music, you'd still find a way to just sound as authentic as with everything that I've heard you do. So I'm sure that there's a through line somewhere. And I think, we all develop and we all change and we all change styles and stuff like that. So it only seems natural that as an artist, you would, try to explore all of those categories. So I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see what you're
Yeah.
going to come up with. Do you, you said that you're still working, I'm assuming full time just now from home. Do you have more time to be creative or the opposite? Are you so overwhelmed that,
I find that I'm it's to be on in front of a camera and to, like this, like all day long, it's actually less conducive to multitasking because now I'm stuck in a chair. Whereas in the office, you know, I'd be able to, there are closed door meetings. I know I have 20 minutes to grab a bite to eat, do something, you know,
Mm.
multitask in my own ways. So it has been what's the word? Like there's been a readjustment period, but there's always a struggle for me to maintain the work ethic that is needed to to engage in the creation of art. You know, like we have to be, for me it's so hard to be a well-rounded person, but that's what the society asks of us. And it really sucks that we have to think of all these things, you know, from a capitalist point of view, that I don't think that humans really need to concern themselves with. But you know, I don't want to, I need to make, I want to be, I need to maintain my job. And if I'm going to have any sense of peace and purpose on this earth, I need to maintain my art. And for me, I have a bunch of, you know, um, mental obstacles and traits that aren't necessarily, that would, that are pretty self-destructive. So I need to maintain my spirituality and my mental well-being. Um, and you know, and then I want to be all the other categories of a person that I am in society: a nice son, a cool brother, a great friend. um, and so something has to give, and usually it's sleep, or something has to give, and usually it's, you know, it's some element in the world. But it's really, you just can't take anything for granted. So in this time, do I have more time to create? um, I have more time. Sure. Yeah, I'll just say yeah. You know, I mean, it's about a different process. Like I said, I can't wait to start fixing my live show for this next project. But before I go into the rehearsal space, there's plenty of administrative stuff to do, and there's plenty of stuff on the back end and organizing on a computer for my project that I can get done. And so that's what I'm getting done now. And it's really about strategizing, like, how to best use your time and energy. And there's no excuse to really be bored. Are only boring people, you know? Like, people should be able to find a way. Like you doing this, you know?
Yeah,
You
it's been
find that,
fun.
like, how can I make an impact in this world? Like, where's my place?
Mhm.
Like, where does my passion pull me? And you listen to it. And then there are times where you don't feel like doing it, but that's irrelevant.
Right.
You just need to fucking put yourself down and do the work.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because you know, when you are a one person show on any level, there's so many different facets that all of a sudden now you're in charge of, and most of them or some of them you're not really either passionate about or you don't really care about it, or like, you know, like you were saying, like you have this new project that you want to work on, but yet on the back end there's a lot of organizing and it's about pre-production. Yeah. And like that's not always the most fun in when you're talking about being creative, but then it really allows you to kind of like stretch your capacity and become a person that can, you know, do 1,000 things, even though that wasn't really your end goal. If your end goal was just to be creative and get it out, but then you learn so many things on the way, and so many things. Like I just feel like we've become such developed and layered people and keep refining ourselves that really once the product is done, you're such a polished person and a beautiful artist, just so well rounded. And I see that in you. Like every time I see you, you're just so. I see you really, really taking all these different aspects of your life and making them to where you feel fulfilled in all areas. You know, it does come down to also making sure that you're financially safe. Obviously, otherwise we'd all be bums trying to figure out how to, you know, buy a canvas.
Mm-hmm.
And then all these other things where you know, you have to put your time in. Do you feel, I know that you came out with a music video, I know that you came out with your last album, which was, I was actually honored and super excited that I could see that live performed,
Mm.
which was, you know, just so big. Are you still doing that? Are you still sort of trying to promote that, or are you completely working on something new?
I'm completely working on something new. So that project is done. I played it out for about like a year and a half, and now I'm working on a new project that's going to be more dance industrial. Um, and but it's going to have the similar sort of formula. So every track is going to have a video. It's conceptual. There's a story behind the process of shattering and shedding ourselves and identities to reach an authentic core of who we are um, that has been dormant, that we've ignored for some time. And it's really about breaking points that I know I've experienced in life, where things have had to change, where parts of myself has had to die. And so that's where I'm at in life, and that's where I'm at with this project. So it's pretty in sync and online. Um,
Is this, are you planning on making this public this year, or are you just completely one thing
yeah,
at a
I
time?
think it should have already started to come out, but I think it's going to come out September. So yeah, I mean, it's a new aesthetic. It's a new everything. It's a new launch. It's a new launch. Yeah, I don't
That's
know.
super exciting. I hope I get to see it. You and I know each other because we go to this wonderful place called Morton Salt in the desert once a year, which usually happens around this time. I think this would be the weekend we would be there, because then
Yes.
afterwards it gets too hot. So I think we'll probably be doing it in autumn, and if it comes out in September, maybe
Oh
I'll be
yeah.
watching your premiere. Hopefully,
Yeah.
that'd
Fuck
be
yeah.
so cool. Um, where can people find you? Do you have a SoundCloud, or how do people get your musical geniuses?
Stuff. You could do my full given name, Enrique Jesus Hernandez, on Spotify or .com for the internet or for the website. But a lot of the stuff is also down. Um, but I still have that Hunger City on Spotify, and I still have the Hunger City videos through the website. So yeah. And if you know of anyone who's been through abusive relationships and moments in their life or situations, then reach out, shoot me a DM, and I can pass along some resources that are nationwide and also California specific. Um, so that's the main goal, to just spread awareness. Um, Milena, you talked about the back end that I was sharing about with doing all these other things and not just like the moments on stage that are the payoff for me personally. And I think that goes into the sustainability element, like why is an artist creating? And I think that if you're creating for something that you're really passionate about that isn't very surface level, then you'll be driven to do whatever's necessary to get the word out, because it's not only about being heard as an individual, it's about connecting to others and eliminating that, you know the issue of hopelessness, and like being disconnected. So yeah, so you have a sustainable art drive in you, which is why you're so multi-talented in different areas, and you can just figure it out, because the alternative is to not be yourself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I have this really profound sense of unity. And I always kind of have that. Like I'm an only child, and I think that's where it comes down to. Like my friends are sort of like my siblings. Like I really take that to heart. And I feel like you as an artist, if you don't share, it's just blah, right? It's just
mhm.
it doesn't really mean anything. And so I think, like you were saying, hope, even with these hashtags, like I was hoping to inspire people to use hashtag create hope as well as hashtag creating hope, to feel like, we're all in this together, because even though now especially we're living in this solidarity, we can still sort of find unity in us, in everybody from their perspective home, and hopefully encourage each other to pick up this mic, or to write that poem they've always been wanting to, and really like take you as an example. Do you have a background in studying some sort of musical arts? Like, did you go to
No,
school for this? Yeah, so I
nope.
think people get really discouraged when they feel like, oh, I didn't go to Berkeley music school, like And how do you feel about that?
I feel like there are definitely God-given talents. The universe gifts us with some type of vocation. There are certain people who are really passionate about making things work and building stuff, and hopefully they find themselves in an engineering career. There are other people who really like to capture moments, and hopefully they find themselves in photography or in other mediums to catch moments. I have always been someone who was a receiver and wanted to express and tell stories. And so even if we weren't in the world that we live in today, if there was sort of any type of culture and fire, I just know that I'd still be the person at night trying to translate, what had happened that day. So there is just a voice, not necessarily a trained voice, but there is a voice that, for me personally, there's a fearlessness about expressing that voice and articulating what I have, just because it's the only thing that I think it's my greatest purpose, and it can be my gift to try and have people feel like they relate to a human experience. So I don't really give a fuck about it being trained. I do appreciate, and I take lessons, and I have teachers in music and teachers in voice and teachers in dance, because I want to hone the gifts that I have and to try and express it as accurately as possible and to really be effective, because I also don't want to waste anyone's time. So, do you have to be trained into something? I don't believe so. I think you need to follow your heart. And I think you need to rehearse too, and I think you need to practice expression so that you can be articulate, so that you can really get a message across for your sake and for your heart's sake and for other people's sake. Um, and so yeah, if you feel inclined and inspired to do something, go with it. It's more likely meant to be. And if you feel discouraged, that's fine also. Life is a journey, and it's not about um you know, it's, life is just a journey, and you get to decide what your element of success is. I'll just say this. I was asked, before I even was able to share, like, I want to sing and tell stories. I knew that I had a creative mind, and I knew that business was something that I could probably, and producing was something that I could probably make a living out of. And someone asked me, they said, Enrique, would you rather succeed in helping other artists, or are you willing to fail as an artist? And at the time, I thought, I don't want to fail at anything. I'd rather succeed. So I'll help other artists. And along that process, I realized that I was um, I was just on the wrong side of the stage, for me to feel complete as a person. And the riddle that was answered for me is that if I'm creating, that is the success of being an artist. So there really is no failure to being an artist if I'm just in action and producing work. Um, and along the way, I get to still, do the other things that I'm inclined to do, which is help other people. But most importantly, this fear of failure really kept me from being true to myself. And failure of what? I get to now, I'm living out my dream every single day. I think of a song, I jog to it, and then I get to work with people to create it, and then I get to perform it. If you had told that to 10-year-old Enrique, that would have been a dream. And I was okay with actually that never happening in my life, because it seemed too
Mhm.
good to be true. And now it's my life every day and every chance I get to perform. And it's not
Wow.
because of a training, it's just because of a work ethic and a passion.
Hmm. I love
Um,
that.
yeah. And your success, what you define as success, if you want to be popular, you will be popular. When you realize the things that need to be done to be popular, and your willingness to actually take the next step, that's a whole different question. And I think sometimes we have these questions too bundled tight, rather than unraveling them and looking at every process of the way. Because so that's that. So I want to be a singer and a performer and an artist, and I am, because I sing and I perform and I create. and you can too.
I love that because we're so in an age where instant gratification plays a huge part of our trained mind, that I feel like a lot of creatives are getting really fast disappointed or kind of like discouraged of keeping on doing what they love to do just because they're not seeing this, this kind of like instant, maybe somewhat of a recognition. And really, like you said, fundamentally, as a creative person, the recognition comes, even if it comes later or right now or in 10 years, as long as you really fulfill what's in your heart. I think that should be, I think the recognition and the fulfillment should be self-reflective. It's like, am
Hmm.
I doing what I want to do at all times? I love that you say that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so cool. Thank you so much. So is this your second album?
Yeah, it'll be my second one.
And how many songs do you have so far?
It'll be 5 tracks, so it's another EP. Um, and then I think the next one after that, I'm kind of going. I wasn't expecting to release this project, but it ended up. But it's where I'm at right now. So I actually wrote another project last year that will come out after this, and that'll be 7 tracks. And then I like these little EP snippets, you know. And again, it's like adjusting to what's. I mean, I as a kid, I listened to records that were whole concept albums, you know, 15 songs, 12 songs. But our attention span, similar to how movies used to only be 20 minutes long, I think, you know, we're rather, I think EPs is kind of the way to go. So I'm going to just produce little shows and also little
That's
records.
amazing. That's amazing. So can we sign up on your website, or do we just follow you on Spotify? And you also have Instagram and stuff like that. Yeah, we can find
Yeah.
you. Okay. We don't
Yeah.
have to go
No, you don't have to look
crazy
far.
search. All right, very cool. I'm gonna make sure that everybody knows exactly where to find you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Enrique. Thanks for taking the time to be here.
Of
You're
course.
so
Thanks for having me.
inspirational. You're so beautiful.
Oh,
Amazing.
so
Amazing.
are you,
One
Milena.
of your
Thank you
biggest
for this.
fans. Thank you. I love you. Have a great weekend. I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.